So China is tightening border controls as the coronavirus outbreak deepens worldwide, and the country is now starting to focus on asymptomatic cases as the virus continues to spark global fear. Let's bring in NBC News foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Fryer in Beijing. Janice, what can you tell us?
Well, borders have been tightening across Asia for the past couple of weeks, and China is now effectively barring foreigners, allowing citizens to come back, but then making them do a mandatory 14-day quarantine. I came back just before the rules changed. This is my last day of quarantine. It's not a choice here. It is an obligation. It's enforced by law, and there have been countries that have started prosecuting people for flouting the rules. The real concern here and in much of Asia is a so-called second wave of infections. The concern is because until this point, China hasn't been tracking asymptomatic cases. So there could be thousands of people who could be positive for carrying the virus but aren't showing any symptoms. They're now going to start tracking those people because as the restrictions are being relaxed here in Wuhan, in Hubei province, as people start to move around a bit more, as China tries to revive the economy here, those people are going to be moving around the country. They're concerned that they could be as infectious as people who are confirmed cases being treated for the disease. So that is the concern at this point, is trying to ensure that they aren't going too quickly and relaxing some of these very harsh restrictions that have been in place for 2 months now, because they don't want to have this second wave of infections. If it does happen, we should be looking at the numbers probably toward the end of April. And there are a lot of countries around the world, the U.S. included, that have lockdowns in place now that will be looking to the trends in China to see if they might be a sign of things to come.
Hey, Janice, it's Willie. It's good to see you. You've been on this story for months and months and frankly alerted a lot of us and a lot of the world to what was happening in China before it was front page news. So I'm glad you're a day away from being out of quarantine. I want to ask you about the numbers that come out of China. We've learned to take them, to put it mildly, with a grain of salt. Well, you can't get good numbers because obviously the way China has handled this, suppressing information, silencing doctors, whistleblowers, people from the very start of this. So what is your sense actually, as if it is possible even to know, based on the way this government operates in Beijing, how big the problem was and how big the problem is right now in China statistically?
There doesn't seem to be much denying the fact that there was a lag between when the cases were first highlighted or when authorities were first alerted to when there was actual action. The lockdown in Wuhan was the 23rd of January. So that was just over 2 months ago. And the tactics that have been employed, the measures that have been being put in place since then have been quite aggressive. And it helps change the way that it measures cases. It's changed the metrics. Sometimes they included people who didn't have symptoms. Sometimes they did. So the numbers have been difficult to follow. Certainly now, when China is wanting to show that it's had some progress and that it does appear to be recovering, it wants people to believe that these are real numbers. As of tomorrow, they will start including asymptomatic cases in their official tally every day. This hasn't been happening. This has been growing in significance over the past week, especially since China closed its can't say that imported cases are causing new cases anymore. So that will be probably quite telling to see exactly how many people they believe are asymptomatic. They are now saying also that they're going to do a better job at treating those asymptomatic cases. So in terms of trusting all of the numbers, it really is hard to say, but they are acknowledging the importance of tracking these asymptomatic cases in order to have their recovery story more believed.
All right, really good. NBC's Janice Mackey-Fryer, thank you. Live for us in Beijing. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.